Okay, so here we go in section 10.3, multiplying square root of 2 times square root of 7, that's square root of 14. Here we're multiplying cube root of 3 times 5, that's cube root of 15. These are quick and easy. Next one, so square root just multiplies 7 times 3 in the top, 21, x times y in the bottom, xy. This is easy. On number 4, we have the square root of 6/25, so that's the square root goes to the top and the bottom separately because the root's over the entire fraction. Now the square root of 6, there's nothing you can do with that, so the square root stays on the top. But on the bottom, square root of 25, that's just 5. And so we're done. Over here, number 5, same thing, the cube root goes to the top and the cube root goes to the bottom. Now, you cannot cube root the top, right? Cube root of x squared just stays that way. But on the bottom, cube root of 25, take your calculator, you'll find that 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So the cube root of 125 is just 5, right? Because it asks for what number times itself 3 times is 125, 5. So there's the answer. Number 6. So again, we put the root on the top and the root on the bottom. And the fourth root of 125, there's nothing you can do with that. You can check your calculator. There's no number times itself 4 times that's 125. That one can't be simplified. But the bottom, what's the bottom going to be? It's x squared. Why? Because x squared times itself 4 times is x to the 8th, isn't it? Remember, a fourth root asks what times itself 4 times is x to the 8th. Well, x squared times itself 4 times is x to the 8th. So the answer is x squared. Really, you can just take 8 and divide by 4. That would be the quick way. Let's go to this next one. So here we have square root. We're going to take it to the top and the bottom. Now, on the bottom, what number times itself is 289? You can try guessing on your calculator, or just hit the button on your calculator. Be 17, right? Isn't the square root of 289 17? Double checking here. Yeah. Okay, and now on the top, now what do you do with square root of x squared y on the top? Well, basically, what number's in the hook? There's an invisible 2. If there's nothing in the hook, it means 2. So this is the 2 root of x times y. Basically, here's the deal. Roots ship things out. A 2 in the hook means a 2 for 1 deal. So 2 x's in, ship 1 x out, and they're gone. So we end up with x square root of y over 17. And you don't need to show that 2 anymore. It's understood to be in the hook when there's nothing shown. So it's just x times root y over 17. Why the x came out is because when you have a 2 in the hook, it makes a 2 for 1 deal inside. 2 x's in, send 1 x out, and they're gone. That's what square roots are. They're a 2 for 1 deal. That's what they always do. So number 8 here is got a cube root. So it's negative in the front, and then we have a cube root. I'll do the top separately. Z to the 5th, that's going to be 5 z's. 3, 4, 5. I'm going to write it out. 5 z's. The bottom cube root of 64, and then I'm going to write 6x, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So now, remember how roots work. They're a deal like going to Target. So a 3 in the hook means a 3 for 1 deal. So 3 z's in sends 1 z out. And what about and they're gone. Those 3 z's in send 1 z out, and they're gone. That's what a 3 in the hook means. 3 for 1 deal. So what's left inside is z squared, the other 2 z's. There's not 3 of them after that, so they can't send anybody else out. Does that make sense? How about on the bottom? 3 x's send 1 out, and they're gone. And these 3 x's send 1 more out, and they're gone. So we get x squared. And then what's the cube root of 64? Use your calculator. You'll find that 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. So it's 4x squared. And there's no more root in the bottom. Why not? Because everything came out. We cube rooted the 64. All the x's perfectly, groups of 3 sent 1 x out and another x out. nothing left over, whereas in the top the root stays because we had 2 z's left over that stayed inside. So there's our answer. Let's try number 9 down here. Cube root of 250. So let's break down the 250. If you take, here I should probably do it here on the side. If you take the 250 and you break it down, 250 is 25 times 10, right? Choose your calculator. You know, the 0 on the back is times 10, and then that's 5 times 5, and 10 is 2 times 5. So that means that this is the cube root of 3 5s and a 2. 3 5s and a 2. So 3 5s in, send 1 5 out, and they're gone. Remember, 3 in the hook means a 3 for 1 deal. So 1 5 makes it to the outside. Those are gone. What's left in the inside is just the 2. 5 cube root of 2. All right, let's try number 10. So 90, that's 9. Break down the 90, factor down. 9 is 3 times 3, and 10 is 2 times 5. So this becomes, square root of 90 is 2 3s, a 2, and a 5. And so now there's no number in the hook here. Nothing in the hook, so what does that mean is really there? 2. It's a 2 root. 2 3s in, sends 1 3 out. So 1 3 makes it out. And then the other stuff, the 2 times 5, they remultiply to be 10 because they can't come out. And you don't need to show that 2 anymore. It's understood to be a 2 root. So there's the answer, 3 root 10. The next one, we've got to break down that 256. So what is 256? Well, I know 2 goes in. Let me just divide by 2. And that's 128. And that's 2 times 64. And that's 8 times 8. And each of those is 3 2s. That's a bunch of 2s. So we end up with, what do we have here? The cube root of, so how many, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 2s. And then y to the 10th, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 y's. So there it is. I've broken completely down that cube root of 256y to the 10th. Now, 3 in the hook. You know what that means. 3 for 1 deal. So 3 2s in, sends 1 2 out, and they're gone. 3 more 2s in, sends another 2 out, and they're gone. Those other 2 2s have to stay in. There's not 3 of them. 3 y's in, send a y out, 3 y's in, 3 y's in. So we're going to get 2 times 2, 4 on the outside, y cubed, 1 from each of these groups, and then the cube root of what's left over inside. 2 times 2, 4, this 2 times 2, 4, and a single y. That's single y right there. So there's the answer. 4y cubed times the cube root of 4y. Let's try the next one. So this is the root of y to the 9. So let me write 9 of them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 of them. And what number is understood to be in that hook? There's nothing there, so it's a 2. So it's a 2 for 1 deal. 2 y's in, to each of these, sends a y out. They're gone, they're gone. They're gone. They're gone. So we have y to the 4th on the outside, a single y left over inside. Y to the 4th, that 4 is on the y there. Y to the 4th times the root of y. Okay, so this one's a 5th root. I'm going to break that 32 down. Maybe we'll do the 32 over here. 32 is 4 times 8, 2 times 2, 2 times 4, 2 times 2. So 5 2s. So then what do we have here? We have the 5th root of 5 2s. We have negative and then 5 2's. Okay, and then 30 x's. I'm not going to write all those. 30 x's and 2 y's. Okay, so how do we simplify that? Well, basically, the 5 2's, right? Because this is a 5 in the hook, which means it's a 5 for 1 deal, right? The numbers in the hook, called the index, the number in the hook is the target deal. It's a 5 for 1 deal. So 5 2's in, ship 1 2 out, and they're gone. The negative sign, for an odd root, the negative just comes out. So the answer is going to be -2. Why does the negative come out? Because an odd amount of negatives, like if you have the square root of or the cube root of -8, that's -2 times -2 times -2. That's right. 3 negatives make -8. So it's a 3 for 1 deal. 3 -2's, out come a -2. So that's what's happening here. Really, there's a negative on each of these 2's. There's 5 -2's there. So out comes a -2. So, and then what about the x's? Well, we have 30 x's in there, and we're breaking them into groups of 5, right? It's a 5 for 1. So if you're buying 30 items, and it's 5 for 1 deal, 30 divided by 5, x to the 6 comes out. You divide that by 5. 30 divided by 5, because they're in groups of 5. So 30 x's in groups of 5 leaves 6 groups. 1 x from each group, right? If you were to write all 30 x's, 3, 4, 5, there'd be 5, 2, 3, 4, there'd be 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'll do one more here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, there's 30 x's. So 1 x from that group, 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 and 1 x from that group, right? Because you circle every group of 5, sends out 1x. So you got x to the 6 coming out. What's left inside? The y squared has to stay inside. 5th root of y squared. There's the answer. Okay, so this one's a square root, right? Yeah, there's nothing in the hook, which means 2. So this one's a 2 for 1 deal. So we're looking for a 2 for 1 deal here. So we're going to break down the 320. That's 32 times 10. That's 4 times 8, 2 times 2, 2 times 4, 2 times 2, 2 times 5. All right. So let's see what we have here. We have negative the square root of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2's. Careful not to lose any of those. 5 2's, another 2, and then a 5. All right, and then 6 a's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 15 b's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so here we go. It's going to be a 2 for 1 deal. 2 2's in, 1 2 out. 2 2's in, 1 2 out. 2 2's in, 1 2 out. 2 a's, 2 a's, 2 a's. They're each going to send out an a. So far we have negative 2 times. Now they're going to multiply on the outside just like they were on the inside. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. A cubed, because 1 from this A, 1 from this A, right? Sends out an A. Sends out an A. That's A. Sends out an A, and they're gone, gone, gone. These are gone, gone, gone. Oh, we're left with a 5. There's a 5 left over inside. Now, what about the B's? Let's ship out the B's. 2 for 1 deal, right? 2 in the hook. 2 for 1 deal. 2 B's. 2 B's, 2 B's, 2 B's, 2 B's, 2 B's, and 2 B's. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. B to the 7th. What's left over? This 1 extra B. There's the answer. They're just all times. There it is. That's a tricky one. Okay, so here on number 13, we have a cube root. There was S here, I changed it to X because it's just easier for me to see X's. So, all right, how do we do it? We got to break this down. 27, use your calculator, 3 times 9, 3 times 3. So this becomes the cube root of 3 times 3 times 3. And then what about the r's? Well, there's 12 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And what about the x's? There's 15 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now we're going to ship stuff out. 3 in the hook, so it's a 3 for 1 deal. 3 3's in, 1 3 out, they're gone. 3 r's in, 1 r out. 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 Or quicker, you could have taken 12 divided by 3. So that's r to the 4th, 4 r's out. They're all gone. And now for the x's, same kind of thing. It's going to be 3 x's in, 1 x out. 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 How many come out? X to the 5th. Is anything left in that root? No. Everything came out. No more root because nothing's left in the root. There we go. Okay, so number 16, they want me to divide. So because those are both in roots, I can just divide them and get square root of 2, right? 5 goes into 10 2 times, and that's it. That's the answer. If the 5 had been out of the root like that, then you couldn't divide them. Or if the 10 had been out and the 5 in, you can't divide them. But since they're both in roots, you can just divide them, and the answer is also in a root, square root of 2. That's the answer. Let's try this next one. It's the same thing here. Because these guys are both inside of 4th roots, we can just divide them. Just use your calculator. 162 divided by 2 is 81. So the 5 just stays there, and then 4th root of 81, because 2 went into 162 81 times. Now what's the 4th root of 81? What times itself 4 times is 81? If you want to break this down, it's 9 times 9, 3, 3, 3, 3. So 4 3's in, 1 3 out. So the 5 is still there, and then the 3 comes out, and they multiply on the outside. 5 times 3, 15 is the answer. No more root. Why? Because there's nothing left in the root. The 4 3's in sent 1 3 out, and they're gone. Right? It's a 4 for 1 deal. The number in the hook tells you the deal. 1 3 comes out. 5 times 3, 15. Because that 5 was already outside from the very beginning. So here's number 18. Same thing, we're going to divide these because they're both in cube roots. The 3 on the outside is just going to stay on the outside. So what are we going to get? 3 on the outside, and then we're going to get, I'll make it a little bigger, cube root of. Now, use your calculator. 135 divided by 5. 135 divided by 5. What is that? 27. And then m to the 4th. Remember, when letters are vertical, they subtract. M to the 4 minus m to the 1 is m to the 3rd, like that. Now, so that's the dividing. You subtract the powers. Now break it down. This is 3 times 9, 3 times 3, and that's m. So what we really have here is a 3 on the outside and a cube root of 3, 3, 3. That's 27, m. Now remember what happens? 3 in the hook means a 3 for 1 deal. So 3 3's inside sends 1 3 outside, and they're gone. 3 m's inside sends 1 m outside, they're gone. So we end up with 3 times m on the outside, 9 m on the outside. What's left in the root? Nothing. Everything left the root, so there's no more root. The root vanishes. 9m. Okay, so number 19 now. Again, because these are both in 4th roots, we can divide them. So just use your calculator. Take 144 divided by 3. 144 divided by 3. You'll get, what's that, 48? Yeah, 48. So you'll get 4th root of 48. And now the powers subtract, right? A's 10 minus 2, a to the 8. The b's perfectly cancel and are gone. So now how do we simplify that? We'll break down the 48. That's 4 times 12, 2 times 2, 4 times 3, 2 times 2. So what do we have there all together? This is the 4th root of 1, 2, 3, 4 2's and a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 2's, a 3, and then 8 A's. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 A's. All right, 4 in the hook. 4 for one deal. 4 2's in, out comes a 2. 4 A's in, out comes an A. 4 A's in, out comes an A. That 3 is staying in the root, so the root will not vanish. It's 2AA on the outside, 2A squared. 4th root of what's left in the root? 3. There it is for number 19. Okay, so here in number 20, they're asking us to find the distance between these 2 points. Well, we need a special formula for that. So the distance formula is the square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So, right, this is the first point's x and y value, the second point's x and y value. And so we just use that distance formula. You want to put this on your 3x5 card for the next exam. So the distance will be the square root of x1 minus x2, 6 minus 10 squared, plus y1 minus y2, 4 minus 7 squared, which is the square root of negative 4 squared plus negative 3 squared, which is the square root of 16 plus 9, which is the square root of 25, which is 5. Okay, so here we have another distance problem. The distance formula, square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So that'll be the square root of x1, 4.2, minus x2, negative 3. Watch out for that. Right, there's minus in the formula, and x2 is also minus, double negative. And then y1, negative 5.9, minus y2, 7.3. Okay. So now you know that this double negative right here is going to be add, isn't it? So it's going to be what? 7.3 squared, and then they're going to subtract. They're both negative, so they actually add as well, don't they? I'm getting 13.2 negative 13.2 squared. So now let's see if we can simplify that. So I'm just going to use my calculator. 7.3 squared. I'm getting 53.29 plus 174.24. I'm getting the square root of 227.53. Okay, and that's the exact, they asked for the exact answer. That's the exact. And now if you hit the square root button on your calculator, they call that the approximate answer. If you hit the square root of 227.53, you'll get 15.08. It's approximate because the decimal goes on, and I just rounded it. So they want both answers. Okay, on this one they want me to find the midpoint. So you need a new formula for midpoint. Midpoint, how do you find the middle? It's the average. The midpoint is going to be x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So the midpoint is going to be negative 6 plus negative 4 divided by 2, the two x values added, and then the two y values, minus 3 plus 8 divided by 2. Why are we doing that? Because that's the average. How do you find the middle? You add them and divide by 2, right? You take the average. How do you find the middle of two things? You average them. Add them and divide by 2. Add them and divide by 2. So what's that going to be? Negative 10 over 2, 5 over 2. You can make that negative 5 and 5 halves. That's the midpoint. That's the point right in the middle of these 2 points on a graph. That'd be right in the middle because it's the average of the x values and the average of the y values. Add them up and divide by 2. Okay, the last one, 24. So again, the middle point, the middle is going to be the two x values added divided by 2, the average of the x values, and the average of the y values. Add them up, divide by 2. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to add them up. So negative 5/3, this one plus that one, plus 7/3 divided by 2. And then these two guys, 5/7 plus negative 2/7 divided by 2, which equals what? 2/3 divided by 2 and 3/7 divided by 2, which is kind of weird looking. Okay, now what do we do with that? How do we clean that up? Well, this is the big dividing bar here. So on the bottom, these are really 2 over 1. So remember, dividing is upside down multiplying. So you grab that guy and flip it up. So it'll become 2/3 times 1 over 2. Right? When it flips up, it goes up, upside down. So it should be 1 over 2. And same with this guy. He flips up, upside down, 1 over 2. Because, again, dividing is upside down multiplying. So to divide by 2 is to multiply by a half. So what do we get then? These cross cancel, 1/3. And these multiply straight. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 7 is 14. These can't cross cancel. So there we go. 1/3, 3/14.